Too many people today, including those within the Trump administration itself, have forgotten the Constitution. They have forgotten the very fundamentals that made America great in the first place. The First Amendment isn't a suggestion. It's the foundation of freedom. It exists to protect speech, not just the speech we agree with, but the speech we hate. And yet, we've seen leaders and their allies weaponize government power to intimidate, to silence, to blacklist, and to crush dissent. Even quoting or questioning figures like Charlie Kirk has become an outrage in their eyes, as if criticism itself were a crime. That's not democracy. That's not liberty. That's control. The tragedy here is not just hypocrisy. Remember, MAGA Republicans and their echo chambers like Fox News spent years crying about woke censorship and defending so-called freedom of speech. But when the tables turn, when speech exposes their flaws, suddenly censorship is acceptable. Suddenly silencing critics becomes the new normal. This is what happens when those in power forget the Constitution. They forget that the First Amendment is non-negotiable. They forget that America's greatness was built on the principle that no one, not kings, not presidents, not parties, gets to decide who can speak and who must be silent. And history warns us what comes next. When a government tramples the First Amendment, when it disregards the people's rights, it drifts into tyranny. And that is exactly why the Second Amendment exists. It was never about hunting. It was about balance. It was about ensuring that no government, no matter how powerful, could erase liberty without consequence. The founders knew that if leaders ever forgot the Constitution, if they ever sought to silence the people, the Second Amendment would serve as the final safeguard. Not as a call to violence, but as a reminder that ultimate power rests with the people, not with the politicians who betray their oath. This is bigger than parties, bigger than politics. It's about remembering what made America great in the first place. A government bound by the Constitution, accountable to the people, and incapable of silencing the truth. And here's another question we must ask. Where is the international community? Where are the voices of the world, the allies and the institutions that never hesitate to lecture other nations about democracy and human rights?
When will they speak up? When will they have the courage, the backbone to remind America and the Trump administration in particular of the very values it claims to stand for? We hear endless condemnations when other nations cross the line. But when the United States, supposedly the leader of the free world, tramples its own constitution, suddenly the room goes quiet. The United Nations is quick to draft resolutions against smaller nations. European governments are quick to denounce crackdowns abroad. Yet when America violates the very principles of the First Amendment, when it silences dissent, when it forgets the fundamentals that once made it great, they look the other way. Why? Because they're afraid. Because they'd rather protect political alliances than protect truth. But silence is complicity. Every day that passes without the international community calling out America's hypocrisy is another day democracy weakens. Not just here, but everywhere. Because if the United States, the model it claims to be, can disregard free speech, then what message does that send to the rest of the world? The time has come for allies, for regions, for the United Nations to do more than whisper behind closed doors. They must speak. They must call America out, the same way they call out others. They must remind this country that leadership is not about raw power. It is about principle. Because if they can't muster the courage to do it now, then when? When the Constitution is nothing but words on paper? When tyranny has already taken root? If they truly believe in freedom, then they need to say it. And they need to say it loud before it's too